2 units, which that is significant reduction to satisfy the committee.
Councillor Collins?
Yeah, I think my decision at the previous meeting was clouded by this 2015 planning application 62 C3 family and individual homes. But am I right saying to sort of remove that from my mind? This stands alone, and so I understand it as what it is a C2 usage of 126. I'm a little disappointed in negotiations, on a reduction scale. Yes, there's a reduction in scale, the size of the building. Like Council Ashford, 2 units, yes, it does get lots of reduction, but it's not what I envisaged.
Thank you. Councillor Sellers? Can I just ask a question? As part of that previous meeting, I think that the size of these flats are much smaller than the originally envisaged 72 flats. It's actually taken up a very similar, the footprint is the same, but also in terms of the height and scale of the building is probably the same as well. So in actual fact, in terms of the size of the building, it's no different from how it would have been with 72 flats.
Just really, so in terms of there's 2 things here. There's the scale of the building and there's the occupancy of the building. The units within the extant scheme, which is a material consideration when we consider applications, but ultimately we need to consider this in terms of its own merits. In terms of the comparison to the extant scheme, which could be built out, the occupancy level through the extant scheme having larger units with more occupancy in each unit, and this scheme having more units with less occupancy within each unit, there will be similar amounts of occupancy when compared with each other.
Councillor Lamb?
I just wanted to make a point that we're going to invite these applications, they come to us, and we have to consider them. And we have to work within a very strict national framework, a legal framework, the national planning policy framework, which is very complex. And therefore, we've got to, although we might not welcome something on this scale, we have to consider it fairly in line with that. Having pushed and pushed at the last 2 meetings for revisions, we have had some revisions and some improvements. The committee has come up with ideas which have really improved the design on the external appearance of the blocks. They look a lot better, they do reflect the environment more, and they look more of a statement in terms of a decent bit of architecture. And there are some improvements in terms of 5 extra parking spaces. But the parking spaces are not only for the residents, they're also for the staff. And it's talking about 24 full-time equivalent for the staff, but I can't see that would be sufficient for an extra care development like this. I would have thought you might have needed higher staffing than that. So some of that parking space will be taken up by staff and people on different shifts and things. There has been a reduced height. They have broken down the profile very nicely, actually, and taken into account what we've said, but they haven't reduced the units very much, and that's a bit disappointing, that the last reduction was only 2 units, and no reduction in terms of the overall floor space. So it's a very fine balance, and I know we've got to consider this in line with something called the tilted balance. That means weighing the pros against the cons and deciding which way we think it should go. And the concern I have is that even if we refuse it may well come back, because a no doesn't mean a no in planning anymore. That's my opinion. So it's a very balanced picture really, and I think it's quite a difficult decision to make. I just want to make those points, but I've expressed these before. But I do think the developers come back quickly with some revisions. It's whether they're sufficient, isn't it?
Thank you. Councillor Dinasty.
Yeah, just a quick question about the community facilities which has been mentioned
Through the chair. So the spaces that are being referred to there on the ground floor, they are ancillary. Ancillary means that they are part of the larger use, so they're not uses in their own right. They're used for the rest of the building. It might be compared to a canteen within a factory, for example. And this, in this case, provides eating facilities for those that might like to use those facilities as part of the care package when living within the building. There's also some facilities, and sorry, that would be open to the public as well. So there will be occasional use by the public, but it's not the predominant intention for those uses. The predominant intention is for them to be ancillary for occupants. There's also some community space, which is essentially a room that can be booked. So it's something that's open to the community for use, as well as booked by groups within the facility, within the building itself.
Thank you. Any more questions? No? Do I have a proposal to accept the officer recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Terry Sales-Cooper. Is there a seconder? Councillor Collins. Thank you. Through you, Chair. We have
Through you, Chair, for clarity, this is being streamed, so I will reread the recommendation that Mr. Collins did talk you through, but so as that it is clear and transparent what has been proposed and what has been seconded before the vote is taken. So the recommendation is to delegate to the Head of Development Management to conclude consultation with East Sussex County Council on ecology and landscape, and make any necessary revisions, attach conditions or seek planning obligations resulting from the above consultation, and upon conclusion of the above, grant planning permission with conditions along with those outlined in the addendum, which he did mention, which I picked up from anyway, and subject to the 106 agreement to secure local labour agreement, transport contributions, travel plan and monitoring fee, car club contributions to provide improvements to the public open space and a gateway to the harbour, and an appropriate connection between the seafront promenade and the harbour walkway, restrict age of occupiers to over 55 and new apartments not to be used as second homes, and any additional heads of terms requested by consultees. And then 3, should the Section 106 agreement outlined within 2, which I've just read out all the obligations, not be completed within a reasonable timescale to be agreed with officers, that the application be refused for the following reason. The applicant has failed to demonstrate to the satisfaction of the local planning authority that planning obligations required to make a proposed development acceptable in planning terms can be secured, contrary to Policy D8, Sustainable Travel of the Eastbourne Core Strategy 2013, Policies TR7 and UHT1, Design of New Development of the Eastbourne Borough Plan 2003, and paragraph 114 of the NPPF. Over to you, Chair.
Thank you. Can I now take a vote? All those in favour, can you raise your hands? All those against? So this has been carried by 5 votes to 1. Application number ID would those that wish to leave please do so now before we move on to the next application? Thank you.